In 1999, Morpheus offered Neo a choice between a red pill and a blue pill. In 2018, this country fractured between red and blue. In 2022, I'm here to tell you that if you really want the truth, more voters are neither red or blue. Yet, they have no representation, no choice, and no options. They have to choose between candidates chosen by the red people or the blue people. I'm David Esrati, and I'm running for Congress as an American, as in red, white, and blue. I'm a veteran, an activist, and a small businessman. I'm asking you to join me in reminding the professional politicians in Congress who their bosses are. I support ranked choice voting, campaign finance reform, and a verified voter information system, all so we can stop having the best politicians money can buy. It's time to elect a veteran who will work for you, no matter what color they want to label you. Please go to electesrati.com and learn more. I'm David Esrati, and I approve this message. Jurassic Park, you thought those little baby dinosaurs were cute until they turned into out-of-control carnivores. That's sort of what happens to government when we elect people based on very expensive advertising campaigns and propaganda. I'm David Esrati. I'm a veteran and a small businessman running for Congress. You don't want professional ad people and pollsters to sway your vote. All those hot-button issues like gun control, abortion, borders are all politicized to stop you from voting rationally. And thinking rationally seems to be in short supply these days. Most Americans have been voting against their own best self-interest for a long time because we've allowed money to buy our leaders. 1 million Americans died in the last 2 years because our leaders couldn't lead. It wasn't that hard. Mask, distance, test, and then vaccinate. In an instant, we had billions to spend on healthcare for COVID, when for years we've been told we can't provide healthcare for everyone equally in this country. That's an unintended consequence of the pandemic. If you think about it, our government can pretty much do whatever it wants, or what the people who buy our politicians tell our leaders to do. We also had a ton of money to prop up businesses. The next thing you know, it turns out that a living wage was not only possible, but necessary. As a small businessman who won't sell you out to corporate interests and lobbyists, I can tell you that it's time to fully understand the consequences of companies like Amazon, Facebook, and Google and their effect on small business, and to remind you that small business is the #1 creator of jobs in this country. So this next election, don't trust this ad or any other political ad. Do your homework and think before you vote. It's time to put this ad man in Congress because I know that the best advertising is based on the truth, not the size of the budget or payola. Or you can just vote based on who has the money to buy their way into Congress and live with the consequences. I'm David Esrati, and I approve this message. Hi, my name is David Esrati. I'm running for Congress. Today, the Federal Reserve hiked interest rates once again, 75 basis points. That means in the last year, basically, we've gone from 0 to 4% on the federal funds rate. I'm not sure where these people went to school to learn their economics, but it sure wasn't anywhere that they taught them about people who don't have any money to start with and what happens when you make it even more expensive for them. In the United States, where we have more than 58% of the people that were surveyed, they don't have any emergency savings, okay? If they have an emergency, they can't cover, 75% of the people had no savings or not enough to cover at least 3 months worth of living expenses. 43% of those were very uncomfortable and didn't have any savings at all. The reality is, people with $100,000 or more in earnings, they're comfortable, okay? But less than half of the people earning 50,000 to 100,000 are comfortable. 50 to 100,000 is supposedly middle class. They don't have emergency funds. Their bailout is a credit card. And credit card rates are climbing. The interest costs are rising. By cutting off money, the supply of money, by making it harder to borrow and more expensive to borrow, is not going to solve the problems of inflation. It's not working. What it's doing is forcing poor people out of their homes so that investors can buy them at a discount. Those who have sitting on piles of cash. The ultra wealthy who already own about half of everything in this country are going to end up owning the other half. I made a video about this just last week, showing that if you play Monopoly and you have all the money and all the property, the game stops.
We have that ad ready to go.
Well, we can run that ad again. So let's run that ad again, just to remind people, except we probably have the one with the typo in it.
Both instead of vote.
It says both instead of vote. That's our bad. But we're going to share it here. Monopoly was designed as a teaching tool in 1903. Did you think it was just a game? It was a way to model how economies fail when a few folks own everything. What if I told you the game ended decades ago in America when we stopped enforcing antitrust laws, allowed banks to get too big to fail, and let the rich buy our politicians? There's only one peaceful solution left. Vote straight D this November 8th and stop the billionaires from owning what's left. I released that last week. They boosted interest rates again. Tam says we could use more financial education in school from day one to graduation. That's true. Most kids don't know how to balance a checkbook, if they even know what a checkbook is anymore. Understanding financial literacy is considered essential. In fact, we have a government-sponsored program that teaches poor people financial literacy so they can get out of trouble. So if they keep raising the rates and they don't do anything about the gross profit taking by the oil companies who all took record profits once again, companies like Apple, Google, Facebook, taking huge profits and costing small business margins as they increase the cost of reaching their customers. There is no way that anybody is liking this 0.75 basis point increase except for one group of people, the ultra wealthy, those in the stock market. Because the stock market took a dump this morning until the interest rates hit and boom, the money came back in and boom, they're all happy. Because people with too much money don't have any place to spend that money. They don't care about building affordable housing. They don't care about making it so that food is less expensive, healthier, safer. They don't care about making drugs less costly. They care about having an extra comma in their net worth and nothing else. And they do that, take that money, and they buy your politicians. 27 billionaires backed Mike Turner. 27 billionaires. There is no way that this can continue. Never mind the fact that monetary policy takes months to a year to actually have an effect. So all these interest rate hikes aren't going to fix anything anytime soon other than the election. What is being done by the Federal Reserve is intentional to screw the economy up so that they can get rid of Joe Biden having, ruling the House, ruling the Senate. They can wipe out abortion. They can wipe out everything they want to do. Get rid of regulations which cost them money. Stop worrying about green anything. And go back to our old polluting, profit-taking ways. It's almost as if nobody cares. nobody has a long-term vision for this country and how we're going to do anything in the future. Because putting this many people out of work or hungry or homeless is going to have massive implications. And I hate to tell the ruling billionaire class that when people don't have food and they start losing their money to buy food, they start losing their houses and they've lost their jobs and their buying power is gone, they can go back to the one thing that we've made easy to have in this country, and that's guns. And they're going to come and start a shooting war, a civil war, and it's going to, all your billions aren't going to mean diddly squat, no matter how much private security you have, because the whole thing will disintegrate. Having a functioning society requires everybody to get a piece of the pie, even if it's a morsel. You just can't have people starving and going broke and losing everything they have, left and right, because somebody thinks inflation is the problem instead of profit taking. Inflation in May reached a 40-year high, squeezing household budgets and possibly forcing some to dip into savings, including government stimulus payments that they may have stashed away. Only 24% of adults reported having more money in an emergency fund than they did a year ago. Slightly over a quarter, 27% of households had enough savings to cover at least 6 months of expenses. A quarter, 22% of households had saved enough to cover 3 to 5 months worth of expenses, reflecting the higher percentage in this category since 2011. That means 88% of the people, or 78% of the people, don't have money for 5 months. And they said millennials have significantly less in savings than older generations. I got this information off of bankrate.com. But it's pretty obvious to see what's happening. And the Federal Reserve can no longer be trusted with monetary policy. Plus, on top of it, you've got Republicans now claiming that they want to cut Social Security and retirement benefits, when in fact they're now currently lined up to have a 10% or 10.8% cost of living adjustment in January. A boost. Why is this necessary? Because oil companies have taken profits. Everybody's taken profits. We've gone from 300 billionaires in this country to 618 billionaires in the last 20 years. Monopoly, folks. I can't say it enough times. If somebody has all the money and all the property, the game's over. Quit playing games with people's basic rights to live. The ability to be educated, be fed, be housed. These things are fundamental human rights. Even the cost of internet access in this country is sky high compared to other countries because we've left it entirely to the private sector. We have a digital divide in this country. Why? Because the private sector doesn't think it has to serve everybody. Republicans even attack the post office, which is absolutely essential. And they say, well, look, FedEx and UPS, they do it better. No, they don't deliver to everybody. There's a cost involved with that. I believe that government can be good, but only if you have good people who care and know what's going on in office. And that can't happen if we're having auctions instead of elections. I've got a website, electionsnotauctions.com. Go look at that. Elections, not auctions, and see the price, see the difference between how much state reps are getting in support between the Dems and the Republicans. Hi, Matt Truman. The Fed sucks. Yes, I agree. You got that right. You know, Mike Turner's on air right now complaining about, the infant act that he initiated and the price of baby formula and the shortages. The reason there are shortages is because one of the baby food formula companies got shut down by the FDA for making unsafe baby formula, and we don't have enough backup because it's been allowed to become a monopoly. There's only like 2 or 3 major companies making baby formula in this country. Hello? Antitrust? This is what happens when you concentrate everything into a few people's hands. What happens if, say, one of the 3 internet mobile phone providers goes out of business? What happens if they go down? I mean, we've concentrated so much. We used to have local banks. We don't have those anymore. Even our credit unions have become big. We've allowed everything to get too big to fail. And it's going to fail when people can't pay their bills, when people just run out of money. It's getting very dangerous. Anyway, I'm going to keep this one short unless anybody's got any other questions. Election is 6 days away. At this point, we can't really tell what's going to happen. But if you're a woman and you care about your right to choose, the only choice you have is to vote Democrat. If you believe that everybody should be running around with guns wild and rampant in the streets, vote Republican. If not, vote Democrat. If you believe there's a way that the government actually serves the people instead of the people who bought them, vote Democrat. I welcome the ability to debate and talk about issues with candidates. The Republicans won't even debate. They have gone off the deep end. And I am just sitting here wondering, what form of government are we going to have left if we get a bunch of Republicans who won't talk to you, won't listen to you, won't respect you, and just get to do whatever their rich handlers want them to do? I see Bill says, I live in rural America. When I get goods shipped to my house, quite often it's UPS and or FedEx shipping to the local post office for final delivery. It's true. That's how they've gotten around having to deliver to everybody. So people in rural areas have to wait an extra day or 2.
But he's also saying that they rely on the post office.
Yeah.
If they defund the post
Yeah.
office, they're screwed.
If we defund the post office, you won't get anything. Period. The VA uses the post office to deliver meds to all of our veterans. The system works pretty much like clockwork. But you've got Trumpers saying, oh, they'll screw up elections. We can't vote by mail. The post office is inefficient. It doesn't matter if it's inefficient. It matters if the mail gets through. It matters if those absolutely essential lifelines for people in rural areas stay in existence. Any other questions from anybody? I'm welcome to fill in, answer anything. People ask me what the polls are. I can't afford to spend money on a poll. Turner spent about $21,000 on a poll, and next thing you know, he had the Ohio Republican Party send out a mailer about me not being endorsed. Not being endorsed because of 25 people in the back room of a Montgomery County Democratic Party meeting, or 165 people who've been elected to the Ohio Democratic Party, don't actually count. What counts are elections, and that's what's at stake. Do elections matter? Do they count? Does your vote still matter? That's what we've got to decide next Tuesday. By the way, if you requested an absentee ballot in Greene County, apparently the vendor screwed up. You can check the status of that absentee ballot online at the Ohio Secretary of State's office. If you requested one and haven't gotten it, you can go in and early vote and it'll be a normal vote. But if you wait until election day and go in on election day and vote at your normal polling place, it will be counted as a provisional ballot, and that can screw things up. So please, if you requested, send it back saying you wanted an early vote ballot to vote early and you didn't get an absentee ballot yet, go in and vote. The offices are open, I think, up until 2 o'clock Monday. They're open on Saturday and Sunday during the day. Get in there and vote. Other than that, the Ohio Democratic Party sent out another mailing. Join Tim Ryan and all these endorsed Democrats. So I guess Tim Ryan's also backing Mike Turner tacitly. It's okay. Just remember, no Democrats come within 14 points of Mike Turner in 20 years. So the ODP and the Montgomery County Democratic Party have no clue on how to get anybody to run and give them a challenge. I see Tam saying she's never recommended a candidate, but she's known me since I was probably 20 years old, and she thinks I'm awesome. I think she's awesome. I know there's other people who've known me for a long time. I really appreciate the support. I couldn't have done this without you. I'm not sure that what I'm doing, because I had that interview with the Washington Free Beacon yesterday. They did a hack job on me, but that's okay. At least they spelled my name right. And it's got more people, more link juice going to my site. So if people are looking, they'll find it. That's perfectly okay and fine with me. There are door hangers here. There are these little buck slips to pass out. I got postcards. If any of you want any of these things to go door to door, to stand outside the polls on Tuesday, or to go stand outside open early voting for me this weekend, I've got all that stuff. I'd appreciate the help. Last but not least, there's information on the website. I am still taking donations. There are lots of opportunities to help out still. I will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST. I plan on doing this even once elected to Congress. At the end of each day, tell you what I did, get your input, and everything else. I don't think any other congressman does that. It'll be a first. Frankly, I don't even know what'll happen if I get elected. It's going to be very disruptive to my life. I worry about how I'm going to take care of the veteran I take care of. I don't know what I'm going to do with my dog, who's used to being with me all the time. I've got to maintain my business in case I only last 2 years in Congress. I have my Airbnbs to take care of. There's a lot of things that I'm going to have to put together to fix and work, but it's all doable. Because I'm in this to make sure you get represented, not to make sure that I have some sort of power or anything else. I believe in power to the people, and I believe the people deserve the truth. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Well, where is that long? It's an LED.